I'm delighted to welcome back Kris Davies, who has an amazing talent of resources and skills and everything to her name. So Kris, you are an intuitive healer, a beauty therapist, a published author and a face yogi. Let's start with the face yogi. Welcome to the podcast again, and lovely to have you back. And face yogi, what's a face yogi? What's face yoga?
Thank you for having me on here once more, Elaine. So face yoga is a mix of facial exercises, facial massage, acupressure points, and also well-being. So it's something I actually came across last year in lockdown, looking for new modalities and one I could take online as well. I just thought at the time, I thought it'd be nice add on to what I already do. And the course I did was okay. It was fine, nothing mind-blowing, but I thought, yeah, this could be quite nice tips. And fast forward the beginning of this year, I think after the Christmas, I managed to let everything of the year come tumbling down on me. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, my God, I look bloody awful. So, and I thought, I need something more, and I need to sort of somehow get my business back up and running. And I thought, face yoga. So funnily enough, I went on Instagram, just scrolling as you do, and it popped Danielle Collins, who's a face yoga expert, worldwide renowned. And I thought, let's look at her training. And I retrained with her in January, and I haven't looked back. It completely changed how I looked, how I felt, and confidence started coming through. So obviously it helps. You're exercising the muscles in your face, so a bit like your body. When you exercise your body, everything gets more toned and tighter and looks better. So yes, I did it initially for helping to lift the jowls and lift the cheeks, and that which it did, but it's also really good for lymphatic drainage. And so you can work on puffy eyes, for instance. You can help someone who's having hay fever, as well as, so it's helped me with TMJ, shoulder tension. TMJ that my osteopath for years has sort of helped me with, but I can honestly say mine is 98% gone now.
You'll need to explain that for the listeners, Kris. TMJ.
Okay, yes, okay. So, temporomandibular, it's basically all about the jaw joint then. The jaw joint, just beside the base of the ear, if you're a worrier, if you're a teeth grinder, more often than not, you can end up with pain in that joint, which can lead to something called TMJ, and it then makes you grind your teeth even more because you're trying to fight the pain. And of course, it's something I had a lot as well when I had fibromyalgia. So it's one of the points that you can get a lot of trouble with fibromyalgia. So my jaw had completely become misaligned. I had a car crash back when I was in college, and through whiplash, I tend to have a lot of shoulder tension on my right side, which of course, when that's tense, you pull your jaw to one side because everything's connected. And my jaw was literally dislocating. If I open my mouth, if I yawn, my jaw dislocates. So between one thing and the other, I was getting a lot of pain, and my jaw was out of line. So this, because it's exercising those muscles and in the correct way, so you're taught to exercise them in the correct way, it's helped to realign all that. And it's incredible. Face yoga is absolutely incredible, and it's holistic because you're working on acupressure points as well. And it's the whole package, because you can talk to someone about the nutrition, their sleep, their skin, all the different things that go with feeling good. And I, as I say, I committed to myself. I started it with Danielle just before my 56th birthday, and committed to it. And for the best results, you need to do it 6 days out of 7. So because the muscles are so small, they need to be reminded a bit more often. And but it literally takes 10 minutes to do. That's all. And you can fit it in with your routine. So I then started offering one-to-ones online. So I was able to get business coming back in for people, for myself even, and helping people again. And that in due course has allowed me, because I'm working so much with my head, it's allowed me to release things that have held me back for, well, one thing in particular, for 25 years. And a bit like when I had the fibromyalgia release, when we were writing about the previous book that we co-authored together, it was just, boom, it just hit me between the eyes. And I realized how much I missed being in a salon environment. And I think as well, not seeing people all last year, it's obviously that was in there as well. But so I started running face yoga group classes the last few weeks with real people. And I'm opening next week, I'm opening a health and beauty place so over there as well. So after 25 years of working from home, I'm going back into a salon. So it's starting again at 56. So so it's all very exciting at the moment. But face yoga is amazing, and I also now I was put forward to teach for Danielle as well. So I teach others to teach it too.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's something about 50, 60-year-old women. We seem to come into our own, don't we? We've had all the nonsense that's gone on years before. We've learned all our lessons, and now it's our time. So good for you. I'm very excited for you. And where is your salon, Kris? How can people get hold of you?
So the salon is in Emporium Health and Wellbeing Centre, and it's at the Vale Business Park, just outside of Cowbridge in Glamorgan in South Wales. So it's the Emporium is actually a yoga centre. It's yoga, fitness. There's lots of wonderful practitioners there as well. So I've got a section in there, and so that's opening next week there.
Exciting. Okay, we'll at the end of the interview, we'll give listeners your contact details, your specific details. Part of the reason for talking today is to talk about the chapter or the section you've written in another book that you're co-authoring with Jessica Prime and a number of other people, and it's called My 2020, I believe.
Yes, it certainly is.
Tell us about your contribution in that book. Tell us a bit about the book and why you've contributed.
Well, Jess asked me if I'd like to take part in another book, and I enjoyed the first one so much, or the last one so much, and it was about my 2020. And I thought, yes, I can write about my 2020. And then just to, it's really about helping other people, supporting other people through their different experiences that they had last year. And I thought, yes, I'll do it. Because when I went to write it, I stumbled because I thought, well, yes, we've had some big hits for different things from my last year, for my 2020, between one thing and the other. But it felt a little bit like, was my story actually good enough? You know, we know people that have had COVID, we know people that have died, we know people who've had incredible financial strain. You know, thank goodness my children aren't small, because if I had to homeschool 6 of my 6, I think I would be going out. So I you know, real well, grateful that mine weren't small anymore. And my heart has been going out to people that have been. And then, so I started thinking, well, what am I going to write then? You know, why on earth do people want to listen to me? And I even started writing it from the dog's perspective at one point, because, you know, their life changed incredibly as well. So out of the blue came this poem. And so it literally downloaded through me. And Jess said, I didn't expect a poem, so neither did I. It just sort of landed. And of course, I can be quite a private person, and we are very cut off where we are. So my biggest struggle really was being lonely, really, last year. Yes, finances and other things, not seeing my kids was being a horrendous strain, but being lonely and isolated. But one of the key things when I was healing myself from fibromyalgia was that it was keeping me hidden. It was a self-serving illness that was keeping me hidden from being visible, because I didn't believe I was good enough. And one of the things I noticed last year was the first lockdown. I realized how much that was still a part of me, that I actually enjoyed hiding away. So again, it was this, oh, this is quite nice. I don't have to put myself out there. And then again, realizing I've got more healing to do around that as well. So there was an awful lot came up at the end of the day. So would you like me to read?
Please do.
My poem. Okay, so what about my 2020? What do you want to know about me, my life? It's already been said. It's already been heard and seen. Whose 2020 hasn't been tarnished with strife? Your finances have been hit. Your family has suffered. You have suffered. You may say the universe has landed you in this shit. I'm worse off than anyone else. I hear you. I really do. I've had enough of this ongoing pressure too. We've heard so many stories. Mine and yours isn't less than anyone else's. But why do you want to know about mine? Is it because I don't shout about it from the rooftops? Is it because you think I've got it all worked out? Is it because you see me as someone who has no worries and is doing fine? I'm white and considered privileged, but I have news for you. I don't have it all worked out. I am a Welsh woman who has seen struggle, bad health, heartbreak, and a beautiful land marked by being underprivileged. When you say, oh yes, I know exactly what you mean, you don't. When you offer advice when it's not asked for because you think you don't know what I mean. You haven't lived my life and I haven't lived yours, but your life and your stories are equally as important as mine to be heard. Your stories, your life, your woes, and please let's not forget joys, should be voiced. We have all stories to tell, but take a breath. Mine are not less relevant to yours. Next time someone says, I've had enough, listen and hear them, give them space. Next time someone says, can you talk? See them, hear them, hold them virtually to know they are enough. When someone says, I've had enough, I can't be bothered anymore, don't judge. Don't say, I know what you mean, because you don't. Don't let the ego make out your life is worse, because in that moment, they have reached out and just need to know that there is more. Next time you say to someone, can you talk? appreciate when they say, not right now, that they don't see your need. They don't see your life because they are so wrapped up in their own stories and strife. Even though once they asked you, can you talk? I don't have it all worked out, but I know what I see. I know what I hear and feel. And I, like you, have wanted to know how to get out. My 2020, my life, has been a time of learning, creating, and keeping to myself. It has been a time of appreciation of what I have and highlighted stories that were already allowing me to stay hidden behind the smile. It's certainly been a time of strife. But I wake up anew, and gratitude that I do to see I've survived and my family too. I've released old wounds and found my purpose in this land of song, knowing what I need to do. Take up the mantle and listen to what's being said. To those that need to be heard, give them an ear, not a pat on the back. Help them to heal their 2020 and give them love instead.
Very good, very good. Had you not said that was a poem, that sounded just like, you know, a chapter that you were reading. But I guess,
oh, really?
When you see it, the way you've laid it out, it's in kind of poem style, is it?
Yes, there are some rhyming words.
Yeah, that picks up the odd ones here and there, but it's very good, yeah, and it's very reflective as well. So you can, and it kind of brings together what everybody's been through. It's been a terrible year for some, a wonderful year for others, but it's certainly been a transformational year. I don't think anybody would disagree on that.
Yes, yes, most definitely. I think, yes, whatever level that is, everybody has, obviously. And that's what I wanted to highlight, really, you know, that no one knows your story, no one knows your life, but everyone has a, when they need to be heard, they need to be heard, not just, oh yeah, it'll be fine, don't worry. And I hate it when people say, oh yeah, I know what you mean. No, you don't. No, you don't know what it means. It's you just want someone to hear you, but but also then when you've got someone that they've allowed that you've let them listen, that they've got everything off their chest, that when it's your turn and they don't, because their head's gone somewhere else, that can be quite hard. But it is learning to understand, well, that's them, that's where they're at right now. And that's been a massive learning curve for me, I think, over the years, really, not just last year, but but it certainly made me understand my mission going forward, and I need to get out more as well.
Wonderful. So you've written a poem. What are the other things that are in the book? I mean, have you seen anything else that's in the book? Do you know any of the other authors?
Yes, there's all sorts of different stories in there. Some are quite heartbreaking, and some, a lot of it is around the mental health, the coping with it all, how it's impacted people in that respect. There's stories about homeschooling in there, which really struck a chord with me. But I think really, in general, it is, whichever way you look at it, I think it is about the mental health is the biggest impact, because whatever's happened to you, it's impacted people mentally. And that's the biggest thing I've seen through reading that book. And it's, and as always, and it's all women authors, they bear their soul. And it's once again a great collaboration. And I know others had difficulty putting pen to paper, because the same thought processes as myself. Is my story good enough when others have endured what you believe is worse? So I know it's been, whereas when I wrote about fibromyalgia story, there was a beginning-ish, you know, a middle and an end type of thing. You know, this is a different ball game, but it's a powerful book. It is a powerful book, and hopefully people need that bit of understanding and need that bit of support to know that they've not been the only ones, because we can very often think, can't we, that nobody's gone through what I've gone through, and nobody's understands. So having the different stories, I think, is very very supportive.
And inspirational. When you can't help, when you read other people's stories, it kind of it's mixed feelings, isn't it? Because at one level you've got the sadness, the compassion, but then you've also got the inspiration, because these people have made it. You know, they're telling their story, you know, as you told your story, and look at you now, you're shining, you're absolutely glowing, and you're going off to expand your pastures. It's not pastures new even, it's expanding what you were already doing, but in a way that really suits who you are. And so the other thing that I wanted to touch on was you mentioned quite rightly the mental health, but so few people recognize the link between mental health and body, and how we think, how we behave, our mental health. You know, years ago we never spoke about mental health. I mean, I'm convinced that the mental health conversation only started a few years ago in readiness for this now, so nobody feels embarrassed when they say mental health. And it's almost like it's like an accolade, it's like a badge of honor. Oh, I've had a breakdown, or, well, I like to call them breakthroughs rather than breakdowns, but you know, it's almost like there's something wrong with you if you've not had some sort of mental incapacity at some stage in your life. So I think it's great that the conversation is there now. Having said that, I believe that the barometer's gone too far the other way, and everybody is so sort of, you know, snowflakey, or, you know, whatever the phrase is. You know, we've gone from one extreme to the other. But life is about balance, and the mental health. In your view, Kris, with what you do with your therapies and your intuitive healing and the face yoga and so on, how do you feel that the mental health and the bodily health, do you think people understand the link?
I think it's still, for people I speak to, I think it's still a learning process. I totally agree with what you just said. It's because I noticed a long while ago, when you ask somebody how they are, they don't want to say, oh, I'm feeling amazing, you know, I'm feeling on top of the world. You know, that's such a rare thing for people to say. They always have to pick out something that's not right in their life. And because you feel it fits in. It feels it's the only way you're going to start a conversation. Because when someone says, oh, I feel amazing, it's like, oh, what do I say now then? But when I was going through the healing process with fibromyalgia, it was a massive learning curve for me to understand that what was going on in my head was creating my, whatever you want to call it. I don't think of it as a disease, but I suppose it's illness, whatever you want to call it, autoimmune issues.
I call these conditions and inconveniences.
Yes.
You know, I've gone through cancer 4 times.
Yes.
Say, oh God, you were so ill, and this, that, and the other. I said, no, I've never been ill. I've never had a day's illness in my life. I've just been inconvenienced.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is an inconvenience. That's true enough. That is. Yes, and it is still, you know, even when I'm sitting in the groups with doing the face yoga, and people are very keen to learn. I think because there is now the ability to talk about your mental health, or whatever that looks like to you, people are more keen to learn how to handle anxieties, and that's what I think. People are hungry for it. But yes, you know, you do always have the people that just, that's all they want to talk about, which, you know, that's not sounding cool with the kids now, dissing that term, but I know when I was going through the fibro process, healing process, and I joined some Facebook groups with fibromyalgia, all people were doing was complaining and moaning and how bad their life was. And I didn't want to be in that energy space. I wanted to know how to heal myself. And yes, you know, there is incredible pain, there's the fatigue and all that. So let's identify that. But how are we going to heal from it? And I think it's that understanding that you can heal is still a learning process for a lot of people. And that, you know, your mind can create some incredible things. It's you know, what I've seen, it is the most powerful controlling factor that we have, and also the most powerful tool that we have is intuition. And if we listened to that, and I come back to it, that was my main thing. Yes, I had different modalities and learned different things through the fibro journey, and the same this last year. But the key thing was intuition. The key thing was listening to it, listening to your body. And it was the same as when I was scrolling through Instagram, knowing I needed to find somebody else to learn face yoga with. Up it popped, you know, in front of me. It's if you put it out there, if you have this hit of an intuition and then start acting on it, it starts falling in place. And it's just opening the mind up to the next thing and the next thing, and trying things and being open-minded to it. But I totally get what you mean, that if you can't say that you haven't had an issue, it's again that you don't seem to fit in with society. Then, you know, it is that. But it is finding that balance at the end of the day. It's it
has to be the right thing for us, doesn't it? So we all got the ability to choose, and I think somehow or another people have forgotten that we choose the way we feel. We choose whether we're victims or whether we're warriors, and, you know, we get on with things and so on. So with the people that I support through cancer, I'm now starting to get people, as they're knowing about me, to avoid getting cancer rather than when they've got it and reversing it, which of course, you know, I can help with. But every single time it's this blessed conversation about they're not following in their intuition, and they're owning what they have. I've got cancer. No, you haven't got cancer. You're in recovery. You're on your healing journey. You know, the language that we use to ourselves is just so important. And I'm sure throughout the book, My 2020, there'll be lots of instances of that, in however the authors have put it forward. I couldn't write for that book. I started, and in fact I came across the other day my contribution, and I couldn't do it because I was so angry. I've got past the anger now. I've got past the sadness, the anger, the incredulity, and so on and so forth. And I'm just working how I can with people to just, you know, take them forward and, you know, open their eyes. But unfortunately, lots of people, you know, their eyes will never be open, and that's another story. So, Kris, how can people contact you for your wonderful face yoga and your intuitive healing guidance, etc.?
Well, for online, they can find me on my website, which is Kris with a K, Kris Davies, Davis with an E, .com. On Instagram, Kris L for Leanne Davis, and I'm on Facebook as well, Mind, Body, Skin Health Expert. I think that's in the right order. Also, yes, and if you go on there, you will find, if you are local, how to see me, come see me locally as well. But I run group classes for face yoga online, as well as in person and one-to-ones, and they can have the healing online as well. So yeah.
Do you have a website?
Yes, www.krisdavies.com.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for your contribution to the book. I can't wait to read it. And thank you for your time today, Kris. And best of luck with your new venture.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.